In accordance with the state's Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on March 31st, 2022 to the Hillsborough Beacon and the Courier News. Can we please take roll?
Mr. Gillette.
Here.
Ms. Jackson.
Here.
Ms. Lanning Peter.
Here.
Ms. Nurse.
Here.
Mr. Oliver.
Here.
Mr. Hio.
Here.
Mr. Marini.
Here, we have a quorum. All right, we will now move into executive session. I will read the following. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975 provide that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of the meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required, as permitted in Section 7B of the Act, resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset and the State of New Jersey as follows. 1, the matter to be discussed is a legal matter. 2, the matter discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in executive session. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Monday, April 4th, 2022 Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. Let's take roll, please.
Mr. Gillette.
Here.
Ms. Jackson.
Here.
Ms. Lanning Peter.
Here.
Ms. Nurse.
Here.
Mr. Oliver.
Here.
Mr. Hio. Here. Mr. Marini.
Here,
Thank
we have a
you.
quorum and we're back in session. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I would like to acknowledge the correspondences as listed. And I will move on to the board president's report. I'll keep this very short and sweet. Very exciting meeting tonight. We are hopefully going to be filling the vacant board seat tonight. We are missing Mr. Kidd tonight, so we have a seven-member board tonight, so the majority of 4 to select the new board member, as it is a majority of the board. And we do have, I know it was listed in all the newspaper articles as 10. It was 10 as of the meeting last week, but 2 more people got in before midnight on the day of submission. So we do have 12 candidates that we'll be reviewing. And before we even get into that, just so you're aware, the way this will work, we'll give each person who has their name in the running an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes on their behalf. If they so choose, that is not required. We will then, at that point in time, once all members have been given the opportunity to speak, we'll move into executive session. We will discuss the candidates, and then we will come out. If we feel the need to ask additional questions, we will do so in public and ask those questions. And then if we do that, potentially move back into exec. But once we are satisfied and have agreement with the board, we will then come out and publicly vote and select the new board member. All right, and that is my board president's report for tonight. All right, we will move on to now, as I mentioned, statements from board candidates. So anyone that is in attendance and would like to speak, please stand up. We will, just to keep things fair, we'll run a 3-minute timer, and you will get that opportunity to speak. So whomever would like to come up, just get kind of line up and you can speak.
Hi, my name is Mark Hastings. I put my name in for the open vacancy. I just want to introduce myself real quick to the board. I hope you guys got the letter that I submitted along with my resume, and also introduce myself to the public. Just a real quick rundown. I know that you guys already saw this in the letter, but I was some qualifications, I guess you might say. Mayor of Mounbrook, on the Borough Council for several years. Served in the Army for 8 years. I served as an environmental geologist working on hazardous remediation job sites, so it's certainly familiar with rules and regulations. Certainly not familiar with all the rules and regulations associated with the school board, but I'm more than willing to get up to speed on that. But I would also say that I have a strong background in a lot of different fields and areas. I don't know that any of it truly qualifies me for the school board, because the school board is a job like no other, I'm sure. So I think that I bring a lot to the table, and hope that you consider, and thank you for your consideration. And I thank everybody else that came here tonight to apply, because I'm very proud to see so many people out looking for an opportunity to serve the community. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Essence Maradiaga. I would like to thank the president and school board members for the opportunity to be considered for this special seat on the school board for Hillsborough Township Public Schools. I am a married mother of 2 boys, ages 8 and 12. I am an educator with a background in business and healthcare administration. I have over 26 years of professional experience to offer, including working in administration for a nonprofit organization. My educational experience includes serving as a math coach, resource teacher, general educator, special educator for many programs, dynamic learning maps, testing coordinator, Special Olympics coordinator, as well as serving on the Autism Redesign Committee for my former district. I believe I can provide valuable experience and knowledge to the school board. It would be a great honor to serve my community in this capacity. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jane Stats, and I would like to serve again on the Hillsborough Board of Education. My husband and I have lived in Hillsborough for almost 36 years, and we raised our son here. He attended Hillsborough Public Schools in kindergarten through 12th grades. He appreciates the benefits of the wonderful education he received here. He is now an award-winning sports writer and editor in Atlanta. I did not seek re-election this past November, but recent events have prompted me to apply for the current vacancy on the board. I love Hillsborough, and I feel that it is my duty and privilege to serve my community. I'm now retired, but I was a public school math teacher for 32 years, 18 at Hillsborough High School. I set high standards for myself and for my students. At HHS, I created and facilitated a smoking cessation group for students. I'm a volunteer with the Municipal Alliance, Mary Mother of God Parish, and the theaters in Hillsborough. As you know, I recently served 3 years on the Hillsborough Board of Education. While that fact may tempt some school boards to appoint me because the transition would be easier for them, I'm sure that you will not focus on that. Instead, I'm sure that you will focus on who is best for our students. To that end, I've pushed for policies and practices that I believe are best for all students. For example, I fought for hiring additional teachers in order to reduce class sizes, which are as high as 26 in the elementary grades and over 30 in many of the classes in the higher grades. Parents, administration staff, and the members of the community at large have actively shown their concern for our students. We should capitalize on that, as well as everyone's unique experiences, expertise, and viewpoints to practice true collaboration to make the best decisions possible for the sake of our students. Because of recent events, we need to continue to improve the district's credibility. Transparency is a term that is often bandied about glibly, but we really must be truly transparent by providing complete, straightforward information, good and bad, in a timely manner. When exploring an issue, I'm an independent thinker and I listen with an open mind. I've been swayed by compelling arguments. I often play devil's advocate and I enjoy examining many sides of an issue. I guess you could say that I follow the example of our students, as they have always spoken respectfully, intelligently, and in an informed manner at board meetings. During my 3 years on the Board of Education, I was a member of these committees: Human Resources, Operations, Education, Communications, and Governance. Last year, I was Chair of Communications and Vice President of the board. I attended all but one meeting. I exercised my due diligence by reading all documents and requesting documents relevant to the agenda. I asked questions in pursuit of being fully informed on all relevant matters. In order to be even more fully prepared and informed, I also attended many New Jersey School Boards Association meetings and presentations. Before and since serving on the Board of Education, I have attended many board meetings and I have spoken at several of them. As a member of the Board of Education, I will continue to use my expertise, experience, and passion, and I will also continue to be fully informed, open-minded, and empathetic in order to effectively serve all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to apply for the board vacancy. My name is Joshua Gamsey. I've been a resident of Hillsborough for 8 years. I'm a parent to 2 school-aged children in the Hillsborough School District in 3rd and 6th grades. I attended public school in the suburbs of Houston, Texas, and graduated from a large high school pretty similar to Hillsborough's. I went to college at Rice University and earned a PhD at MIT. Subsequently, I became a tenured professor of biology at Vanderbilt University and then moved to the pharmaceutical industry as a scientist. Having a well-run and successful school system is very important to me. When our family moved from Tennessee to New Jersey in 2014, just before our older child started kindergarten, we were happy that our children would be learning in the state with top-rated schools, and we chose Hillsborough because of its excellent school system. In Nashville, we'd seen the negative outcomes for a school system that was poorly supported, and we didn't want that to happen here. Although our district faces a number of significant tests, including reductions in money from the state, the loss of talent due to teacher retirements, and the mismatch between the growth in student number without a corresponding growth in school resources, I think the township and the school district can work together to succeed. This is because of the many dedicated and hardworking teachers and staff, the high involvement level of parents, and the respect and valuation of education by the township's residents. One of Hillsborough's greatest strengths is its school system. It attracts families like mine to move here, and it educates our children so they can become informed and thoughtful citizens. By joining the school board, I would work to maintain and improve Hillsborough's outstanding education system by drawing on my experiences as a student, as a teacher, and as a parent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Kathleen Dietz. I live at 945 River Road, Hillsborough. I've been a resident of Hillsborough for over 40 years. I'm here tonight to apply for the open position. It might be of interest to know what motivated me to do this. Simply put, it's responsibility. Responsibility for my family, as I have 2 young grandchildren in Woodford School, and my own children are graduates of Hillsborough. Responsibility for education of the children belongs not only to the board, but also to the entire community. The school board experience that I have is that I've served on the Hillsborough Township School Board for 6 years in the past. I have also served on the New Jersey State Board of Education for 9 years. My work experience includes having been a manager at Johnson & Johnson for over 20 years. I'm currently retired. It is important that I share my views on education, as I believe education is the keystone to success. The most responsible parties are the community, parents, teachers, staff, administrators, and the children themselves. It is therefore the board's responsibility to take in all of the input, identify the many and varied needs, including the requirements set by law, fiscal responsibility, and through good judgment, synthesize it into a system that provides the best education for our children. The board has done this, the township has done this. This is what we need to continue to do. A good example of our teachers, our staff, our board, and everyone in the community has been the adaptations and the changes that were quickly made during the pandemic, which included the use of technology, remote learning, and social isolation. Our staff, families, and students prevailed. Now we're moving through the recovery phase. There is more to be learned, curriculum to be restored, funding gaps to address, and policies to be revised. Flexibility, cooperation, and leadership are the key elements to this success. This board will face those difficult challenges, and I have no doubt will be successful. The quality of the schools, I will say, has been outstanding, but noted by the many commendations we've received. New Jersey also ranks 3rd out of 50 states in education. We should all be proud of that as we contribute to it. Before I end, I would like to also let everyone know my guiding principles as a board member and what I would stand by before I make a vote myself. I ask myself these questions. Is it beneficial for the kids? Is it good for them? Will it help them? Will anyone be left out? Could it possibly be unintended or unfair outcome? How does it benefit the system, the community? And personally, I ask myself, have I done enough? I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sabina Manala, and I want to thank you for considering me for the school board vacancy. I have been residing in Hillsborough for a few years now. The primary reason my family chose to relocate to Hillsborough was for the reputable school district. I have 2 children who have graduated from the district and 1 currently enrolled. I have a personal interest and passion in wanting this district to thrive. I started off my career working in corporate in accounting and financial reporting. I took a break from that career path to stay home and take care of my children. During my time as a stay-at-home mom, I volunteered with the PTA and local organizations. When I decided to return to work, I knew corporate was not where I wanted to be. I wanted to fill the gap in education and work towards a teaching certificate of eligibility for kindergarten to 6th grade. Due to personal reasons, I was not able to return to school as an alternate route teaching candidate. I, however, knew my passion was in education, so I returned to work as a higher education administrator for a local state university. I currently work for the National Institute for Early Education Research, a research institute within Rutgers University dedicated to improving early childhood education and care for all children through research. I manage the office finances in addition to program budgets and financial reporting. In my various roles, I've worked on fiscal compliance, budget and financial management, and providing support to grant administration. I feel my personal connection with the school district, combined with my work experience and commitment to public service, make me a good candidate for the vacancy. Thank you again for considering me for this position.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jim Rue. I've been a resident of Hillsborough for 33 years. I'm a 1992 graduate of Hillsborough High School. While I was going through high school, I participated in numerous after-school activities, whether it be athletic or student government. One of the initial objectives that still stands today was the class of 92, which I was the class president of, established and funded the Project Graduation Initiative, which still goes on today for the safety and well-being of students at graduation. So I'm happy to participate and say that we founded that through the class of 92 and it's survived for more than 30 years. Currently, I have 3 children going through the district, grades 10, 7, and 4. Hello? Grades 10.
I paused the time.
Great. Currently, I have 3 children going through the district, grades 10, 7, and 4. And I think we're at a very important time with the activities and that's going on and the openings that are available to make a decision to set them up for the future and let them benefit the way that we did going through the district. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to seeing your outcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good evening. My name is Jamie Foley. Thank you for having me here tonight to tell you a little bit about myself. And thank you for considering me for the vacancy for the school board. So I've lived in Hillsborough for 15 years. My husband and I have raised our 2 kids here in Hillsborough. These are the only schools that they have gone to. We also moved here for the quality of the school district, and we have not been let down in any way at all. I have a daughter in high school and a son in the middle school. I'm a career marketer by trade. I've been doing that for 30 years, and I'm a parent who cares about the opportunities for all kids and the need to set them up for success. So firstly, I want to say that I'm not assuming this is an easy job, and I have the utmost respect for those who volunteer significant amounts of their time to try to make the Hillsborough School District a better place for children, for parents, and for taxpayers and faculty. So my qualifications, as a marketer, I have a number of skills I think will be helpful, as a core member of the school board, building and managing multi-million-dollar budgets, understanding budgeting and spending priorities, 30 years of communication skills to multiple different kinds of audiences, and understanding the needs of multiple stakeholders. Well-versed with working within a team environment and leading and managing teams, interviewing and hiring candidates, and adhering to policies and compliance, and building those policies and compliance as well. And a little bit about why I want to become a board member. I'd really like to be more involved in my children's education, in the education, building education here within Hillsborough. I bring the perspective of the parents here in Hillsborough. I think the key issues here are, and you would, I think, understand them better, but the overall goal is to ensure that every student gets the best education and the best opportunities that they can get. The role is to seek input on key issues from in communicating to the Hillsborough community. And I think I'm in a good, place to be able to do that, to help ensure that the school budget is put together with adequate resources and facilities to meet the needs of all the constituents. And I know that's an issue because in the last budget, not everything was budgeted for that I think Hillsborough wanted, the town of Hillsborough and the school board thought should be in there. And also to establish policies to accomplish the district's stated mission, to help build that mission, and to ensure that policies are being followed. What I'm prepared to do, to champion and be the voice of all the needs of kids and to serve the entire Hillsborough community. I'm prepared to participate and give the time needed to prepare for meetings and do the job, and to be a productive member of the school board team. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening all. My name is Lalita Kumari. I moved to New York to New Jersey last year. My daughter is going to middle school, 8th grade, and I have very fun family here. I'm educated, I got awarded from Bachelor degree Small University, India from Andhra Pradesh, and I have Master degree in Arts from Small University, Hyderabad, India, and also I have Diploma Computer Science from Upper Computer Education Center, and I worked in different food company industries, Rajput Posting, and Surabhi Posting, and Brahmfoods Inc. And before Corona, I used to volunteer in PS24, IS237, PS24, and we funded, I involved in various programs like fundraising events, like ice cream sale, book fair, and all those things. Thank you for giving opportunity. Have a wonderful evening for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, members of the Board of Education. Thank you for taking time on your busy agenda to review the 12 of us, to have a chance for us to all discuss. My name is Joe Petrosino. I've lived in this community for 33 years. Both my daughters are products of the Hillsborough school system. One is now an emergency room nurse, and the other one is now a senior management in business. I have 33 years in this business, as I just said, and I'd like to summarize basically who I am. I'm a stable, mature decision maker. I'm an excellent oral and written communicator. Every single decision I make, I ask myself, what would I do if this was my child? Those of you who have my CV in front of me, you'll see I've been a teacher, a director, a principal, and a superintendent. I've been through board training. I know what's expected of me. I've been familiar with making tough decisions. I'm aware of that. I'm a graduate of the Citadel with a degree in education. I have a master's in education administration from Kean, and I have a doctorate from the University of Pennsylvania. I heavily researched on building trust in communities, trust in people, trust in organizations. I'd like to say that whatever it is, I will work with you. I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and whatever I can do, whether I'm elected or not, I would be happy to serve in any committee or capacity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ed Yarshinsky. I live at 3380 East Mountain Road. I've given you my resume and answered some of the questions, statements that you asked and provided them, so I'm not going to go too much in detail with that. But I have quite a bit of experience in education on both sides, with the union and with the Board of Education that I dealt with, and had some decisions that were popular and some that were unpopular. I'm not applying to serve on the board because, as I said, I have any agenda other than to do my best to try to represent the town, and I want to be part of the decision-making process in the Hillsborough School District because I understand what an important part of the Board of Education is to the education of our children. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think that's our last individual. So we will be moving into executive session to have this discussion. We'll ask that you guys stay in case we have some follow-up questions, which if we do, we would come back out and address those publicly to the individuals. And I do, before we do this, I want to thank everybody. Getting 12 people that want to serve the community is fantastic. And we're super excited that we got all of you to apply. This is not a paid position, obviously. This is a volunteer position. And the way this works is if you're selected tonight, you will not be seated tonight. You have to go through a background check, fingerprinting, those kind of enjoyable things before you actually take a seat in the board. And the hope would be that by the next board meeting, which I think is 3 weeks out, that you would be able to join that meeting and join us up here. So with that, I will allow for a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will return. Thank you. Reopen the meeting. Let us take a roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Ms. Jackson?
Here.
Ms. Glenn Vader?
Here.
Ms. Nurse?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Trujillo? Here. Mr. Marini?
Here, we have a quorum. We are back into public session. And once again, I want to thank everybody for submitting their resumes and getting them to speak. We had some good conversation. We really appreciate, and we hope that come November for those 11, maybe there'll be 11 on the ballot. That would be fantastic. We look forward to seeing you, and hopefully next year, some of you may be on the board. I don't want to offend anybody on the board who may be running again. But all right, fantastic. So we are now back in. What we will do now is we will take nominations in a second. Anyone who gets a nomination in a second will go on the list, and then we will take a roll, and each individual will speak the name of the individual they would like to select for the position on the board. So I will now open it up to nominations. Ms. Nurse,
I nominate James Stats.
do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hio. Do you have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate James Rue.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Do we have any other nominations? All right, I will close nominations, and we will take roll where we will have individuals name the person they would like to select.
Mr. Gillette?
Mr. Rue.
Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Rue.
Ms. Glenn Vader?
Miss Stats.
Ms. Nurse?
Miss Stats.
Mr. Oliver?
Mr. Rue.
Mr. Hio?
Ms. Stats?
Mr. Marini?
Mr. Rue. All right, let the record show the majority is for Mr. Rue. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. So Mr. Rue will contact you after the meeting and inform you of the information and the steps you need to take before acquiring a seat on the board. Is there anything else we need to do, right?
Mr. Rue, congratulations. You need to complete your criminal background check. The hope is that you'll be able to complete that criminal background check before the next meeting of the board. And assuming that that is completed, then you will be sworn in at the next board meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fogarty. All right, we will now open up comments from the public. We very much welcome input from the public. During board meetings, there will be 2 30-minute periods of time that the meetings will be open for public comment, where members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they are attending in person. During the first public comment period, members of the public may comment about any items that are listed on tonight's agenda before the board votes. During the second public comment period, Members of the public may comment on any school or school district issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district as per bylaw 0167. Before you state your comment, you'll be asked to provide your name and address. There is a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Kindly note that the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of public employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session. If there are any comments, please note the agenda item, if you have it handy, that you will be speaking about. Otherwise, open items will be in the second public session.
Good evening, Reverend Rod Williams, 101 Ever Close. I want to speak to item number 8, because it is awfully disappointing. There were a lot of great candidates that we heard from, but it does seem like there's a lot of business as usual, because with the changing dynamics and diversity that there is in Hillsborough, the fact that the board as it's currently made up doesn't reflect that is somewhat disappointing. And so I would hope and suggest that going forward, I don't know what needs to be done. I was asking a question earlier as to whether or not there's a fixed number of board seats, whether the board could be expanded, but certainly there needs to be more attention paid to the lack of diversity when it comes to the board, because this board has had some recent issues that had to do with everything from the notion that CRT is a part of the curriculum to the idea of the individual whose poster was taken down, which says that if that kind of thing continues, there's nothing to abate that process. So I wanted to make sure that you note that we're going to continue to be focused on the idea that diversity needs to start at the top and continue throughout this community that we all call home. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, Stefania Gabriela Olakwitz, you can call me Gabby. I am speaking about number 11 in general, all of the various coverages that are being approved and everything. Looking at the math, which was inspired by a social media discussion recently that I'll come back to in the later comment period. The amount that we're spending on coverages is crazy. And part of what's listed here every single time is no sub available, no sub available, no sub available. So if we can spend the one I just happened to literally just pull out right now, $250 some odd for a coverage effectively, and our sub rate is half that, I bet there's a middle ground between what we're not getting subs at and the money that we're hemorrhaging. So maybe we need to be looking at 175 or 200, or just bite the bullet and have 250. Because I don't even know what that 250 was. What step was that teacher on? What how far to the left, how far to the right on the guide, excuse me, right? If we're pulling coverages from all the way on the right and down at the bottom, come on. So that's a way to save money through this crisis. And the same thing with with any other position that has a substitute rate attached to it. We are underpaying market rate, period. And we are paying more than market rate as a result to compensate for it. And that is irresponsible, period. I would also just like to express my disappointment in the selection tonight. No offense, sir, but there was a candidate who received votes from members of this community in the most recent election. And the fact that that gentleman was not even considered by the board as a final candidate is very disrespectful and disappointing to the voters who participated in said election. Good luck on your future election, conveniently selected board member.
Thank you for your comment. Any other public comment? Okay. We will close the first public comment session. We will move on to the superintendent's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Marini. The acting superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the education agenda as follows: 10.1 through 10.4, Motion to approve professional travel-related expenses. Motion to approve new field trip destination. Motion to approve overnight trips. And motion to approve policies and regulations for second reading.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved. I second.
If we can do roll, please.
Mr. Gillette?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Discussion by the board. Apologies.
Not really discussion, I just wanted to make a comment to wish the Rover Raiders good luck on their possible tournament down in, I think it was Texas, not sure, so.
Thank you very much. I
They're
apologize.
Not quite going there yet.
I know.
Right.
Good luck. Fingers
But
crossed, I
we're
guess it's this
being
weekend.
proactive. because
Absolutely.
It will happen before the next board meeting if they make it.
And apologies, Mr. Hio. Any other public comment? Sorry, board comment? No? All right, so we will move to roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming Peter?
Yes.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Mr. Marie?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
All right. The acting superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the human resources agenda as follows, 11.1 through 11.12. Motion to approve retirement, and we thank Ms. Cymbalista for her service. Motion to approve revised leave replacement teacher. Motion to approve revised sixth-period coverage. Motion to approve revised science lab coverage. Motion to approve transfer or change in assignment for 2022-2023. Motion to approve contract change. Motion to approve leaves of absence. Motion to approve appointments 2021-2022. Motion to approve appointments 2022-2023. Motion to approve seventh period coverage. Motion to pre-approve extra coverage. And motion to approve extra coverage.
Could I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll take roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming Peter?
Yes.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Mr. Marie?
Yes, motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. The acting superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the operations agenda as follows, 12.1 and 12.2. Motion to approve policy for second reading, and motion to approve change in out-of-district placement.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion by the board? Seeing none, we'll take roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming Peter?
Yes.
Ms. Nurse?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Mr. Marie?
Yes, motion passes. All right, we will now move on to the second public comment period. We very much welcome input from the public. During board meetings, there will be 2 30-minute periods of time that the meeting will be open for public comment. Members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they're attending in person. During the second public comment period, members of the public may comment on any school or school district issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district. As per bylaw 0167, before you state your comment, you will be asked to provide your name and address. There's a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes that there's a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Kindly note the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of public employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session. It is now open. Any topic the public may wish to discuss.
My name is Tiffany Neal at 6 Cedar Hill Terrace. I am here today to again urge you to implement healthy school hours for our students. Extensive research shows that starting both middle and high school at 8:30 a.m. or later improves mental health, physical health, and academic achievement among teenagers. You have probably heard about the proposed New Jersey legislation sponsored by Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin and State Senator Vin Gopal. The bill would require that high schools start at 8:30 a.m. or later, beginning in 2024. While a statewide standard would help school districts to make the change, let's not wait that long. Every year that we fail to act is hurting Hillsborough students. Some people say that healthy school hours would coddle our teenagers and that they should be waking up early to prepare for the real world and a full-time job. They might not realize that teens' biological clocks are different from both kids and adults. When kids go through puberty, their circadian rhythm shifts later. Teenagers' bodies are in sleep mode from about 11 p.m. to 8 a.m., which is later than adults and does not match with early school start times. Making teens get up early to prepare them for a future job is like stopping toddlers from napping to prepare them for elementary school. It doesn't fit with their biology or their physical and mental development. Along the same lines, it doesn't help to just make teens go to bed earlier. Their brains aren't ready for sleep until later. So even if they put screens away, they can't fall asleep that early. By starting Hillsborough High School before 8:30 a.m., we are preventing teens from getting the 8 to 10 hours of sleep they need to be healthy, happy, and successful. I know that change is hard, but it's worth it. We have waited too long to do what's right for Hillsborough students. The research showing the many benefits of healthy school hours has been around for decades. The earliest position statement supporting healthy school hours was in 2011 from the National Education Association. And I know the issue has been on the radar of the Hillsborough Board of Education since at least 2018 when I started speaking about it. To be clear, the status quo is hurting our kids every day. It's time to take action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Neal.
Hi again, Stefania Gabriela Palakowitz. So, following on the earlier theme about money, there was a public discussion this week initiated about National Honor Society at the high school, which is a whole thing, and I get it, that it's a whole thing. And the summary of that public discussion is that it's really important to some parents and their students because they believe that it is an important thing for a college application. And it may not be anymore, but that may not have been communicated well. But the really important part is that the math of what staff described goes into NHS is effectively a 0.4 position. A 0.4 position at step 1 BA is $26,000. We currently have on NHS for 1 advisor and 5 assistants, a grand total of $6,000. And each of those assistants are getting $500 each. So that's $3,500 and then 500 times 5. For 5 people to do the work that is admittedly, by the people who have done it, a $26,000 position. Another great example about how stipend positions are underpaid is marching band. Marching band directors do just as much work as football coaches. Disclosure, former marching band director, source, me. I made $3,000 at Ridge High School in 2009. Football coach made over 10. The disparities between sports and arts are present in our salary guide too. I know we don't have the money to fix that suddenly and raise all of our stipends, but when real services, extracurricular things that students and families find important are not able to be funded because staff doesn't want to do it because it's not worth the time, and then we're asking questions about why we're having problems hiring, why we're having problems having subs. We backed ourselves into a corner through all of the years that the township committee probably has more to do with it, the corner that we're backed into in terms of the way development was handled. But we're at the point now where we need to build to fund our schools. But if we build, we destroy our community. So what good does it do? Like we are so backed into a corner right now. And I'm sorry for losing the thread there, but NHS is important to people. Arts are important to people. If they can't be funded equally to the things around them and can't be funded to what they're worth, that says a lot about where the priorities are. And funding can either be readjusted to bring everything in line with the resources that we have, instead of having what is a clear evidence of superiority. And if that's what it takes to be competitive in football, and we're willing to do it in football, why are we not willing to do it in National Honor Society? Why are we not willing to do it in music and arts? And this needs to be communicated clearly from administration to the public, which it is not happening based on the discussion that occurred this week. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, Henry Goodhue, Hillsborough Education Association. In no way to detract from what any of the other speakers have said, I'd just like to add some extra information for consideration as we're talking about things like stipends and extracurriculars. Most of those take place at the high school, where the predominance of the demand for that is, and that's actually where most of our 6-period coverages take place as well. So when we're looking at staff members and questioning why perhaps it's not even a will not, but cannot, they don't have the time because they're planning for all of these extra classes that they're covering. I mean, I think as of last tallying, we were somewhere around 41 6-period coverages, which the typical teacher carries 5 classes. So you're talking 41 people doing 8 different jobs, plus or minus, spread out across all of those. It's absolutely that these people do not have the ability, even if they wanted to do certain things, regardless of stipends or not. It's just simply a question of time, and it's a question of demand. And the district truly needs to consider what we're doing with leaves, the vacancies that we had. And I know that we have very difficult budgetary constraints placed upon us, but we still are suffering from losing 56 people. And that suffering is being passed on to the students and onto the staff as we see increased class sizes and we see more and more staff members taking on extra coverage. And they're doing that not for a monetary sense. I mean, the incentive is there, but they're doing it to keep the building running. They're doing it because if they didn't do it, we wouldn't have enough teachers to teach classes. But because we don't incentivize long-term substitutes, daily substitutes coming, we end up paying the extra rates for 41 6-period coverages, which not only has a financial disadvantage to the district during tough budgetary times, but it has a social, emotional disadvantage to staff members who are already pushed to their brink by the pandemic and are picking up all of these extra time. So I ask that you take that into consideration as we look at all the different schools and what is and isn't happening and what can and cannot happen, and certainly factor that into the budget considerations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodhue. Any other public comment? All right, with that, I'll close public comment and I will open it up to the board. Mr. Heel?
I have several reports to share and then some just events. So I had attended the Garden State Coalition of Schools, and there was a speaker from the Traumatic Loss Coalition, and that was George Scott and Maureen Brogan. It was a really interesting conversation. Just a couple highlights of what Mr. Scott shared. He said that we as a society, we don't like to feel dysregulated, and that the United States is one of the most highly medicated societies, and that we're treating symptoms but not the cause. And then he shared the idea of self-compassion as to what the audience was administrators, some board members, and he talked about what do you do to keep yourself well. And I just thought that was really interesting because what he talked about was that if leaders are willing to do that in the district, it trickles down to staff to keep everyone well. And that kind of goes to the next topic, which was New Jersey school boards had sent out information about suicide prevention and just asking districts to share the contact information of Perform Care. So I've done this before, but I just wanted to share again that Perform Care is a full-service behavioral health managed care organization. It is free, and it is available at performcarenj.org. And you can call. Parents can call and just say what's going on with their child, and they will, if your child's in crisis, they will send out a mobile response within the hour. But if it's something that's a longer term, they will also match your child with therapist services, which I think are a little bit easier than going out into the private therapist market because from what I understand, it is within like weeks versus months of a waiting list. So that's what I wanted to share on that. And then actually, which ties in nicely to this Wednesday on April 6th from 6 to 8:30, the Municipal Alliance is hosting a Question, Persuade, Refer training, QPR, which is, the mission is to reduce suicidal behaviors and save lives. So it is online. I believe it was part of the Wednesday community email distribution, but if you go online on Facebook. I will try and post that later, because I forgot to do that, but it is this Wednesday, April 6th. It is a webinar. And then I mentioned earlier that the Hillsborough Municipal Alliance had received a grant from Chris Herron's, the First Day Foundation, and there is a presentation now, actually, so it will be at the end of the month, Tuesday, April 26th. It will be the daytime viewing, so it's 12:30 to 2 p.m., and I believe there will be, in addition to showing the film, it's a 47-minute film, there will also be a discussion on mental health and well-being. So that is during the day, Tuesday, April 26th, 12:30 to 2, and there's also the next day an evening viewing, which is Wednesday, April 27th, 7 to 8:30, and those are both at the Hillsborough Municipal Building in the multi-purpose room. And that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Trujillo. Would any other board members like to make?
Sorry, one more thing. Hope for Tomorrow is Friday, May 6th. That's Friday, May 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the municipal building. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Trujillo. Ms. Fafana?
Good evening. I first wanted to just applaud and congratulate all those who applied to fill the vacancy tonight, and it's very rewarding and also relieving to see so many members of our community who are dedicated to honestly and empathetically serving us as students. And I just wanted to address some of the sentiments previously shared in regards to our start times at the high school. I know that as a student, I've experienced and witnessed the implications of no sleep, as I'm sure many people in this room have. I know that the Board of Education right now might not have the liberty to decide that for us, but I know that with the added weight of the impending stress of college and extracurriculars, along with accelerated classes, it can be a lot to manage, and not being in the right mindset to fully navigate that can make things extremely challenging, and it can make things even harder to excel in school. So I just think that's something to keep in mind moving forward, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other board member comment? All right. With that, we'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.